you do look for an agency? And also, what are your current challenges? What would you like to see done differently that your current agencies or CARD in your process that you're not thrilled about that we could change, even from a compliance standpoint? If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it as well.
Can you start? So from, you know, the financial perspective, we have a lot of hiring managers working with a lot of different staffing agencies, and kind of making those decisions by department and area, and then vetting those contracts through our legal team. So we have, you know, multiple different people kind of with their hands in the mix. And multiple strategies, which we're trying to consolidate right now. From a finance perspective, trying to consolidate the understanding of who the bills are coming from. So sometimes what's hard for me is understanding two different departments are using the same staffing firm. How do I know whose P&L, which department does that go to, and keeping that all in line.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Well, so what I was going to say, and Preston doesn't know this because he hasn't been through a seasonal ramp with us yet. He'll get there. So as a project manager, a lot of times I'll work with the seasonal ramps. And so we'll bring staffing partners in and we'll work through a very set process, which is great. But a lot of times they go outside our processes. And so I don't know, they're working the same rec I'm working. I have no visibility on it. We're doing double work. And a lot of times, you know, we end up paying for something, or we end up having hiring managers tugging in a lot of different directions. So that's one aspect. And then the other is, the most important aspect to move our process along is getting feedback from the hiring managers. And when we control that, that's great. But then when the hiring managers get all this other influence in there, we start losing feedback, the process breaks down, and then they don't trust the process. So by having a more standardized process, and by having more control over it, then I think we're able to deliver a better product overall.
Okay, great.
Yeah, for me, it's just when like the president and CEO issue different initiatives and projects and things like that. We have 15 different agencies that we work with, and identifying the right one or who to go to and all that kind of stuff is a real challenge for us right now, especially me being newer. I don't know who's performing well, who's not performing well. So the whole idea of being able to instantly mobilize is a big deal to me, to be able to be like, this is coming up, I need somebody to partner with me. So when you guys talked about alignment, being able to be aligned with our agency or our MSP, if we use you for that, is very important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because we always know.
Sure.
But you know, I don't want to be micromanaging whoever it is that's helping us, whether it's an agency or whether it's a full-blown program.
Yeah, I can understand that. Thank you.
I think consistency in our contractual language between different vendors is concerning as well.
Okay.
That's going to create different levels of risk and assumption of risk, making sure our risks are completely covered, and that although we do want some level of control to make sure that you're not going to be stuck as an employer at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the feedback. This really helps me be able to tell you a little bit more about our services. It sounds like what I'm hearing from Carr and Preston, it sounds like you have too many agencies. You really want to get some visibility about what's going on and have a better control, which we are actually going to tell you. Carrie's going to dive into more of our MSP VMS and how we manage that through our onboarding tool. We also, as far as being able to have rogue hiring managers, Jan, I know that's something I've dealt with a lot over the years too, so being able to reel that in is really important, which is why our recruiters customize the approach to best suit you. So absolutely, we'll have one point of contact and we'll make sure it all goes through whoever the point of contact is for Best Buy. That way you really have your hands around and there's no surprises at the end of the day. We also have multiple divisions, so I saw about 50% of your contingent workforce is in the IT technical space. I believe it was 25% in like industrial and about 25% in more executive search, admin roles. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have divisions in each of those areas. So we have tenured recruiters. The average tenure of a recruiter at Target CW is 4 years, so they really get to know your culture. I know cultures change from distribution centers in Fresno to the corporate office in Minnesota, so it's really important that they really understand what you're looking for and can mold with your team there as well. We also place a lot of weight on veteran placement. Have you ever run a veteran program in the past?
Yes, 6 years ago we had a veteran program, well before Preston got here.
So you're aware of not only the benefit at, of course, the veteran, but also the tax credit for the company as well?
Right, yeah.
Perfect, good. So we have a Marine veteran who has run and started a program for us. He's very passionate about what he does, and he does a great job of bridging the gap between veterans and the civilian communities. So he does a really good job. He knows the vernacular and really can help speak the language.
Cool. What service was he in?
He's a Marine.
Oh, awesome.
You fellow Marine?
I felt Marine.
Well, thank you for your service.
In terms of the tax credit, are we gonna be able to take that, or is that something that Target CW is gonna be taking, since you're technically the employer of record?
You know, that's a great question. Let me reroute you to our compliance team, if you don't mind. I'm not the compliance expert. So with direct hire, that is about 28% of our business. We do contingent and direct hire. So for direct hire, you would certainly get that, but I will communicate with our legal team and get back to you if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Do you currently run skills testing, Preston, for any of your technical roles, or?
Yeah, we have a whole battery of tests that we give everybody.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you'd like, a couple of our clients right now, eTech City for one, they want to run they want us to facilitate that for them. So for your developers, if there's coding tests or anything, we can certainly do that. We also do skills testing if you want to know if somebody can build a macro or can run a query. We can show you their Excel proficiencies, their strengths and weaknesses before you pull the trigger on making a hiring decision. And then we really stand behind all the candidates that we place. We have the option to run background checks like Kevin mentioned, so you can see a full menu of what's important to you. You can choose and we will facilitate that for you as well. And then we also call references.
How can we make sure that background checks happen? I feel like all the agencies we have do them. We need to make sure that everybody is background checked, at least one of the different packages. How can we make sure that that's happening?
So that'll actually be incorporated into the system, whatever package you choose, or if there's different packages for different locations, say one for, one area, one for another, we can tie those in the system and then they'll automatically be deployed when a worker is gonna be hired, and then in the system, you'll have this ability to see exactly where they're at in the pre-screening process.
Cool. And then, Erica, to get back to your point on the consistency in contracts, I know a lot of our clients have concerns around that, and so we do have a legal team that's excellent and compliant, so we can streamline that communication for you as well, so there's checks and balances there. Perfect. Did you have any questions for me about our staffing capabilities?
How would you, in terms of the different things that Kevin mentioned earlier, what are you most proficient at? I saw that you guys did like payrolling and staffing and temp and MSP and 1099s. Like, what do you think you're most proficient at?
That's a great question. So we pride ourselves in being able to be a full service agency, so we can cover all of those things. The bulk of our business has been payroll over the years, so that's how our company was started. And then actually based on clients' requests, we also started staffing and did a great job in that as well. So as far as staffing goes, the bulk of our business is temporary, and about 28% would be direct hire. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Preston, to touch on that, before we get into the program challenges that we've historically seen, we've had, as Stephanie mentioned, a good majority of the clients start out as payrolling employer of record services, which then grew into staffing, which some of those grew into full-on MSP or VMS programs. So we did have the flexibility, which is nice to kind of grow with them. That said, as we've been around for a much longer period of time now, we do have some that we've gone in and disrupted different agencies and different vendors and become the incumbent VMS.
Cool.
So some of the global program challenges that you will see, I know we touched on visibility quite a bit, and that's obviously always going to be kind of a number one, I would say, challenge that every company sees when they are looking into this. I would say that we are one of the most cost-effective and aggressive players in the industry. So I know also when it comes down to standardization, we as I believe it was Carl mentioned earlier, oftentimes there's different people in different locations or maybe different departments doing things differently. We're going to come in and try to consolidate that and make sure everybody's doing it one way. We're going to educate you on that and hope that we have, whether it need to be on site, whether it needs to be via PDFs or webinars, that everyone knows exactly how to do that. With the leveraging economies of scale, I know that we talked about being able to just kind of benchmark and have a set rate for all agencies. And as you mentioned earlier, maybe different departments or different locations are utilizing the same agencies, but being able to see that they're both getting that same rate. I know historically we are able to bring your rates down quite a bit, anywhere from 30 to 40%. I know within 1 year of implementing our DMS program with Change Healthcare out of Nashville, Tennessee, we ended up saving them about $1.6 million.
How did you save that company that money?
In year one, it was based on basically coming in and being able to go through and see what every agency was charging, being able to standardize those rates, and essentially deploying that through everyone so they knew what rate they were getting, and being able to pull the reports to see what their savings were.
Got it. Cool.
And a lot of that will be much friendlier and easier to see once we do pull up Staffing Nation and kind of walk you through a demo of that, and being able to see all the different reporting capabilities that are there. Where were we here? Identifying risk and ensuring compliance. Obviously, that's our main goal and main thing that we're looking to do when implementing a program. Erica, do you have any specific questions regarding risk and compliance with the VMS program at all?
Not at this point. When we go through Staffing Nation a little further, I'll have some questions.
Okay. Awesome. And then we do have program governance and ProVec mobilization. The biggest things there, I would say, is just being able to obviously be very agile and quick to make changes and grow with you. And essentially, I know another thing that could be, say Preston leaves after another job. Being able to
Probably will.
Come on, Preston, it's talent acquisition. You guys, I know you are. You find the next big thing, you're off to that next year. So say Preston does leave, at least we'll be in charge of having the program in place and having it running smoothly, and hopefully can bring someone else in that could jump in and take over right away.
I see localization of program. What do you mean specifically by that?
Can you speak up or repeat that?
I see localization of program as one of the other challenges. Can you specifically address that?
I'll let Carrie jump in on that.
Localization of program. So I would say basically having the program, manager maybe on site at the work site, being able to have that person be the go-to person for any questions for any of the employees or agencies or anything like that. We found that it's really advantageous to have that person, on site there, whether that be an internal person with Best Buy or whether that be a Target CW person that we put on site there.
Okay, so you can put someone on site with us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Carr, if that's not something that you're looking to do, oftentimes once we get a better kind of scope of your workforce and what your program you're trying to implement, we often suggest maybe starting with someone on site for, say 3 months, say 6 months, whatever it takes, before we hand off the baton and let someone there run it internally, and then you'll still have a dedicated remote team here as well in San Diego.
Okay. Good.
Awesome. So moving over to the user level. Excuse me there. One thing we do say is just having the consistency in training, and one of our strengths is communication. So as I touched on, just making sure that we're all aligned on the same page, going through as we're implementing the program, being able to bring everyone up to speed, and whether it be through webinars, whether it be through on-site trainings, that's one thing that's really important to us. The process enforcement, that's pretty straightforward. User satisfaction, I think the biggest thing there is for you all to be happy